chicos, bienvenidos a la primera entrevista del programa. Hoy vamos a hablar con Jason Robinson, exjugador del Casademont Zaragoza, que estará con nosotros para hablar de su experiencia en Zaragoza, de cómo fue aquel año de la temporada 2014-2015. Y bueno, la tendréis colgada después en YouTube con subtítulos en español, porque la entrevista la haremos en inglés. Así que ahora, en cuanto se conecte, empezamos con ella.
What's up, man? How are you doing?
What's
How
going
are you,
on, man?
Jason?
I'm
Doing
doing
great, doing
good, man. How
great.
are you?
I'm doing good. How is life treating you? It's been 9 months since the last time we speak. So yeah, tell me,
Yeah,
how has it been?
it's good here, man. But it's just getting a little crazy with the new variant of COVID. The numbers are going back up here, so we're just waiting to see if things are going to go back to how they were around this time last year.
Right, it's happening the same way here in Spain. I know that they are going to decide tomorrow if there's going to be more restrictions. So, uh, I'm going back to the States in 2 weeks, so I'm just worried about what's happening there. So, well,
Yeah,
are you ready for it today?
yeah. Let's do it, man. What you got for me today?
So, as I told you, there were going to be a few questions from the Zaragoza fans because this is for a platform we got for the fans from Zaragoza. So they gave me a few questions that I will ask you later, and we will go with them.
Yeah,
So first of all,
sounds like it.
I want to introduce Jason Robinson today. He is going to be the first basketball player on this podcast, and I just want to ask you the first one from the fans is which was your best memory from your year in Zaragoza from that season of the 2014-2015?
Best memory. Oh, that's tough. There were a lot of them. I mean, from traveling the world, the European continent with playing Euro Cup competition. That was pretty fun. But I have to say, when we qualified for the Cup, that was pretty fun. But we had a game where we played against Malaga and Unicaja in Malaga, and that was a pretty good game for us as a team.
I,
Everybody was clicking today. We had I think we had 3 or 4 guys in double figures that game, so it was a really game. It was a really fun game to play on the road.
I remember that game because I was there. And Malaga, if I'm right, they were on the first position of the league.
Hmm.
And I remember Marcus Landry, you, Stevan Jelovac, which we will talk about him later, and a few other
Yeah,
guys, Kevin Leach. And that game was wild. I remember it. I was sitting right next to Marcus Landry's son, and that was a really good game. So I'm gonna go with the second one, which has been the healthiest or the best locker room where you have been?
Ooh, the best locker room
Hmm?
was probably when I was in Malia. When I was in Malia, like everybody hung out together. It was just one big family. Even the coaching staff, like everybody
Hmm?
got along together. Every day at work, you look forward to it. There was nobody arguing together against each
Hmm?
other with teammates and stuff like that. So it was always
Yeah.
positive in Malia.
Hmm. Well, I remember that the last time we speak, you told me a lot of anecdotes from your year in Zaragoza and what happened the year before in Guipúzcoa, where
Yeah,
you really showed up after playing for Valencia, and you told me that some of those locker rooms were very difficult ones because being
yeah,
coached by Perasovic or the year in Zaragoza, those were very difficult years, but y'all played pretty good. So if you could tell us something about those years for these new people that are
yeah.
watching.
I mean, everybody's kind of familiar with Coach Pettis and
Yeah.
how he coaches, and pretty much how a lot of coaches from where he's from, the way they
Mhm.
coach, right? So, like when I got there in Valencia, it was at the end of the season. Like we were literally
Mhm.
had 4 or 5 games left. getting ready to gear up for the playoff run, all that good stuff. But we were practicing as if we were still in preseason. So when I got there, I was just like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why are we running so much right now? I was just trying to figure out things. But I mean, every coach has their way. I would say the easiest coach that I ever had to play for was by far Cito Alonso. He made my job very simple, very easy. He simplified the game for us. Yeah, I mean, every locker room that I was in, I can tell crazy stories about what I've seen just from, management coming in there, arguing with players, players going back and forth with each other. Normal stuff that normal stuff to me that everybody on the outside wouldn't necessarily view as normal.
Right. Well, have you had any discussion with any president? I mean, has any president of your club gone to the locker room to discuss with any player? Have you ever seen that?
I haven't had a president come in the locker room. There's been a couple general managers that'll come in there. The only time I actually had a president come to and speak to us in a strong tone, that was when we were in Valencia. And I think they were having some type of battle with the players union there or something like that. And some players were talking about sitting out. And the president came in there and let's just say he put everything to rest. Everybody played that next day. So that was kind of interesting to hear all the players say, oh, we're not playing tomorrow if we don't get this, that, and the third. And then the president comes into the dinner and he tells them, look, you're playing or this going to happen. And everybody ends up playing. So that was pretty hilarious.
Okay. Well, I'm asking this question because like 1 week ago, I remember that CSKA Moscow, they played against Unix Kazan. They lost by like 15, 20 points in their arena. And they said that the president of CSKA were going to put a penalty of like a 15% of the salary for the players. And I was like, is this real basketball? I don't know. So.
Yeah, I don't believe in that, man. Like if you sign, like if a player signs if he signs a contract for 8-10 months, right? I believe that player has an obligation to fulfill everything in the contract. Now, that contract goes two ways. It goes on the player's end and it goes on the organization's end. Right. So for an owner to come in and say, hey, I'm not going to pay you because you guys lost by 20 points. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm still supposed to get my money regardless, just like you're going to get your money from whatever source is paying you guys. So at the end of the day, I hate that tactic. I'll never agree with it. I don't think it belongs in basketball professionally. If you're going to hold people hostage by waving money over their head, that's never going to end in a good result.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And as we were speaking about your Valencia experience, we already talked about it last time, like 9 months ago, about the Valencia Zaragoza playoffs. And as this is for a Zaragoza platform, I want to ask you what happened after the game was done. I remember that the crowd was going wild because there was like an unsportsmanlike foul on the last play. And I remember the president of Valencia like arguing with people. I don't know what happened right there. So if you could tell us if something happened after the game was done.
Hey, man, after the game, all I can remember after the game was done is me telling the other guys on the team, especially my good friend Joe Jones. I told him good game. I took him for a little while, talked to his family, and I got my butt on the bus. I don't know what else was going on because I was kind of pissed off myself because, that series we were supposed to win. And I wasn't thinking that I was coming to Spain for a first-round exit out of the playoffs, especially with a team like Valencia. So I was in my own little space, and I didn't pay attention to what was going on, especially since, we didn't have no real rotation after the first 6 or 7 guys. And I think that's where we got in a problem because we had the players on the bench. It was just Petas didn't feel like he needed to use anybody after a certain point. So I didn't notice anything really. I went to the locker room, showered, grabbed my stuff, and got out of there. So if something did happen, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a pretty good answer. All right, so there was another question from your physician in Zaragoza, José Ignacio García. He wanted to ask you, where did you get the socks that you used to wear? Those really cool socks.
Socks. I got my socks from a company called Stride Line. It's a company that was made in Seattle, Washington area. I first found out about them probably when I was in Korea in 2008. But I really started investing in them and making them a tradition every year. And some of the Spanish guys really got a kick out of my socks.
Well, like a few weeks ago, I sprained my ankle, so I might have to go for him. Do you recommend me to go visit him?
Yeah, man, he's a good guy, man. One of the best in the business, man. Honestly, one of the best of the business.
Perfect. I'll go talk to him. Okay, so now there was another question from the fans, and they wanted to know about your experience on the city. Like, which were the places which you like to visit? If you had any favorite place to go, have a coffee or to go with some teammates? Yeah.
Well, I was always I stayed walking distance from the arena, in the apartment complex right across there. So I stayed upstairs from one of the grocery stores there, and around there, like I had a barber shop right across the street. I had a grocery store down there. I had all kind of bars and cafes around me. So in my area, that's just where I stayed. I didn't really go downtown too much. Because I like to, once I'm home and away from working in the gym, I just like to relax. I don't like a lot of noise. I don't like a lot of attention. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't feel like I need to be around a bunch of people all the time. So I would just stay in my little area. The barber shop is where I would be most of the time. Just because, I mean, the conversations that you would have in the barber shops was nothing like today. I mean, man, it was great conversations. Even the guys in the barbershop, they would ask me questions about what was going on with the team and, you know, the different games that we would have and different matchups. They would talk to me about that. So I was sitting there for hours and just talking and listening to them interact with other people. So I would say the barbershop.
Okay, well, that's something that we will talk later about fans talking to players. And I think that's going to be really interesting. Well, did you like to hang out with your teammates somewhere in the city, or did you just like to be by your own?
No, I would like to hang out with my teammates. Like after games, like if we had early afternoon games, I would go straight to the golf course. But I would go to the golf course, and I would have Chris Golding with me. Every time I would go golfing, Chris would be with me. Yeah. So there was a couple times that Kevin Litch he went with us. I had Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner with Marcus Landry. So I'd interact. I went to dinner after games with Marcus Landry and his family a lot. Yeah. So there was interactions with teammates, but it just wasn't the whole team necessarily.
Well, I remember Marcus and his family. They went to he used to take his kids to my high school, so we were going to high school together. And for real, they're really good people. So this is a personal question. I want to know what happened to Chris Golding. I remember that he started the season like playing incredible, but he had like a point on the season where he wasn't playing good at all. And then there was this game at Valencia. Do you remember this game at Valencia, which the score was like 110 to 115 without overtime? That game was incredible too. So, I mean, what happened to him?
I think the thing that happened with Chris is that it wasn't because he wasn't working hard, but because Chris was an incredible worker.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of him connecting with certain players and especially his coach.
Okay.
I don't think Chris, he got the concept of European basketball, right? It's a lot different than United States basketball, and in his case, Australian type basketball, because Australia, the way they play is kind of similar to the NBA. It's more individual, more one-on-one, whereas you come to Europe, it's 5 guys on the floor that can hurt you at any given time, right? Because everything is team-related. So Chris had great individual talents, but I don't think he understood how to incorporate that and make everybody else with him better at that time, because he was still a young player. We have to remember Chris was a young player at that time. So, and that was his first year playing European competition. So it was a different level for him. And I kind of take that as one of my downfalls, because I didn't help him out enough. I didn't help him adjust to how the basketball was there in Spain, even though I was spending a great amount of my time with Chris. So I could have helped him out more, helped him adapt, and been like a bigger brother to him, and guided him along the way to help with his adjustment. But I just think he got lost in the transition. Of course, we all could have played better. Hell, I could have played much better. But I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I think that this is going to be very helpful for the Zaragoza fans, that now they are going to understand a lot of the things that happened back then. And I remember that game in Valencia where we already talked about it. Chris scoring like 3 or 4 threes on the last quarter in a row. And I was looking at him on the TV and he was almost like crying. I was like, what's happening to him? Was it true? Did he cry on the locker room or something? Because he looked really emotional.
Nah, he didn't
on that
cry.
game.
He didn't cry. He was super excited, man. Let's just say that he was very excited that he finally had a breakout game against one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah.
And everybody got to see it, because I think that game was televised, so everybody got to see it. So it was just a happy moment for him, man. He wasn't crying. He wasn't super emotional. He was happy. He finally broke out his shell. I think he had a couple bad games before that, so it was really good for him.
Okay, and well, now there was another question, and they wanted to know how Joaquin Reed, the coach back then, how he used to deal with players, how he was as a coach.
Well, I think that was a learning experience for Joaquin as well, because that was Joaquin's first year, I believe, being in a head coach position. And it's a lot different being an assistant than being a head coach. You got more responsibilities. You lose games. The first person they look at is you. You got to direct players in a different fashion. You got to have more of a father-like image. You can't be their friends as a. So it was different, right? So Joaquin, in my eyes, he didn't take the initiative of telling guys, "Hey, your role is this. Your role is that. Your role is this. I need you to do that." He didn't break that down really well. And this is why I always say Cito was my best coach, because he made things simple. And from the very beginning, he pulled every guy in the circle, and he told them every guy in front of everyone what your role is, what I expect from you, and how we're going to go about it. Nothing changed throughout the season. His expectations of people didn't change because of their success or their failures. We just stayed the course. Everybody stayed the same throughout the season. So it worked in a sense. I was going into that next season expecting that same type of coaching style. But again, we also lost a coach previous to that. And so everybody at the beginning of the season was kind of like, how do we go about this? It was a learning experience for everybody. So I don't fault Joaquin. He was just learning his way. It was new to him. But I mean, at the end of the day, we all could have did something a little better that year.
Well, as you said, it was his first head coach experience after the other head coach. He had to be away from basketball for some time. And the next season, after your season in Zaragoza, they started with Joaquin on a 0-5 or 0-6 balance, and he had to go somewhere else. Well, there were a lot of people arguing why did he stay one more season after what happened at the end of that 2014-2015 season. But for a head coach, being his first season in a professional level, I think that it is. I mean, it was pretty impressive to see this team going to the Cup of the King. Although I would say that it has been the best roster in the Zaragoza history. Y'all were playing with Rasko Katic. He was coming from Red Star. Marcus Landry. You were the best scorer of the league, like just the year before. Kevin Leach. He was playing on the Euro Cup. Pedro John Park. He was an amazing guard. So I really enjoyed that season. I remember taking so many pictures with y'all guys. I couldn't find a single picture with you. That's why, but I remember having one with Chris Golding. So I'm still searching for it. I'm still searching.
I think that season, like I keep saying, we just didn't have a coach to put us in a certain direction. Of course, we all want to win, but there's a way you have to go about it. There's a way that you start the season. There's a way that you go about it at the middle of the season and the end of the season. And I think throughout the season, it was just up and down. It was never no consistency. So, I mean, does that mean it's all on Joaquin? Not by any chance. Because, like you just said, we had a lot of guys on there with a lot of years of playing behind them at every position. We had Hank Noro. We had Pedro Yompar. We had me. We had Rasko Katic. So, and then we had
Sastre. John Sastre. Yeah.
So we had a lot of guys with a lot of experience from a lot of great different teams. So we didn't take the initiative to kind of figure that out ourselves. Like we didn't really have a lot of outdoor meetings with just the players, just sitting down eating dinner so we can build that camaraderie. Don't get me wrong, we hung out, but we could have did a lot more.
Okay, yeah, I feel you. Well, now you said, you talk about Rasko Katic, and well, y'all played on the Euro Cup on the second phase against this Russian team in how was it called? Volgograd, somewhere in Russia. How long was that trip?
Oh man, that trip was in the range of a little over 20 plus hours. It was crazy, man. Like it was snow everywhere. It was cold as hell. I mean, to them it was normal. To us, it was like, wow, it's shocking. But I mean, it was fun. Whenever we got to travel, it was always an exciting thing because wherever we travel, certain guys have played there before. So you got to see Steve Jelovac. You got to see him interact with different guys when we went to Italy. You got to see Roscoe interact with different guys when we went to Russia. So it was good to see that, to see another element of those guys.
Well, I remember that game, watching it on the TV. And did his coach talk to the arena saying like they needed to win a game or something because they lost like the last 10 games or something like that? I remember that. That he took the microphone trying to speak to the crowd. Did you understand anything he said?
No, I wasn't even trying to understand. It was I didn't want to learn that language. No disrespect to anybody, but
yeah. But did Joaquin told y'all something after the coach speak to the fans, or what happened at that moment?
That he was saying stuff to the fans, but he just more or less wanted us to concentrate on the game. Don't worry about what's going on out.
Yeah, I do remember these guards from this Russian team that he scored like 30 points on both games. And I didn't know nothing about him after those games. I didn't see him on any EuroLeague team, nowhere.
There's players everywhere, man. But somehow, some way, that year, there are a lot of players that you normally wouldn't hear about. They kind of had good games against us. So I don't know. Maybe somebody had a target on us. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Well, there was a question somewhere in here in the chat, and well, asking you who was the funniest guy on the team in Zaragoza.
I did see that question. I seen another question on here too saying
Yeah. I've seen it somewhere in here asking for the. Let me see.
somebody
Funniest
asked the question if I think I gave my best
maximum
effort
level
in,
right here. Yeah.
but we'll get that in a minute. The funniest person in Zaragoza that
Yeah.
year was easily Roscoe Cottage in the locker room.
Roscoe Cottage.
Easily. The jokes he would tell weren't like the most hilarious jokes, but after you heard him tell the joke, you would have to laugh. The way he would
The way
deliver
he
the joke.
explained them, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Roscoe
Okay.
was the biggest kid you have ever seen in your life.
I remember him bringing his kid to my high school as
Yeah.
well. Like I was
Yeah.
hanging with his kid and with Marcus' kids, and man,
Yep.
those breaks were amazing, for real.
Yeah.
This is the way I learned so much English. Like I was speaking with them all day, for real, taking care of young Marcus, and that was, I mean, I don't even know how big he will be right now, but you know,
He's bigger, man.
yeah. Well, so now, as I told you before, I wanted to talk about Stevan Jelovac. Well, we all heard from the news that he passed away like 2 weeks ago. Very sad news, and I have to say that he was probably one of the guys that inspired me to play basketball because he made everything look so easy that
Mm-hmm.
I really love basketball thanks to him. So if you could tell us something about Stevan or how he was on the locker room, how he used to be with you guys, that would be
Yeah, Steve,
great.
Steve was an all-around good guy. Um, Off the court, he just loved to be around family. He loved to be
Mhm.
around positive people. He was always smiling, just trying to enjoy life, right? Steve didn't move with a lot of stress on his shoulders.
Mhm.
If he did have, he wouldn't be able to tell it because when he came to work, he was always in a good mood. He was always doing the same thing you would see on game day. He was doing it in practice.
Mhm.
So those same shots over and over, right? And he would be the last guy shooting at the end of practice. No matter what day it was, he would always make sure he would get his shots in. So I can respect that. Any guy that's going to work that hard day in and day out, I automatically have respect for them.
Mhm.
He took his craft really serious. He was really professional. He made a lot of friends outside of the game, outside of the team. The fans in the city really loved him. He tried to learn the language. He did learn a little bit of the language from what I've seen. But he was an overall good guy. Loved his family. Talked great about his family, especially his dad. So it's terrible news. When I heard it, I immediately called my agent and just wanted to hear an update and see what happened. But it's a terrible tragedy, and I'm praying for him and his family, man.
I remember him like 2 months after he got to Zaragoza, talking to the fans in a perfect Spanish. I was like, did he really learn Spanish in 2 months? I was like, no way. And yeah, he was
Yeah,
a great person, always taking pictures with the kids.
he was trying to learn little bits and pieces here and there. So he's a
Yeah.
good guy, man. We love.
Well, so this is our thoughts about Stevan Jelovac. We won't forget him, and this is for the fans who I'm pretty sure that they will appreciate your words about him. So let's change the topic right now. I wanted to talk about the image rights that you were saying on Twitter. Well, there
Yeah.
was this story that happened to me last year when I tried to contact some Zaragoza players. Well, first of all, talked to guys from Anadolu Efes, guys from the EuroLeague, Eurocup. I've talked to many players that are playing even in minor leagues, some other players that has played on the NBA, and it made me a lot of well, I was really excited about talking to Zaragoza players because that's my team, and I'm really a fan which pays like I always have my season ticket to go for all the games, but for the last 3 years I haven't been able to go to the games because I'm living in the United States for my college. So this guy from the club called me. I don't know if he was there when you were playing for Zaragoza. This guy from the communication department, he called me pretty angry about me talking to some of the ladies team. I was like, could you please check the video that I did with this player and tell me if there's something wrong? And he was like, who are you to talk to these players without my consent or whatever? It was something like this. I was expecting his call telling me that, yeah, you can do the interview with this guy this day and this time. But no, he was really almost yelling at me. So I want to ask you, how was it when you were a player? If you like to receive interviews from people, or if you had something on your contract that banned you from doing these interviews.
Yeah, I'm a people person, and
Yeah.
if you ask a question, as long as I'm not mid bite trying to eat my food, if you got a question, I'll answer it. You know what I mean? But yes, when I was playing, of course, we had our image contracts that were separate from our player contracts. So
Yeah.
we couldn't just do any old interview while we were playing, while we were under those two contracts. We couldn't. We had to get it approved by the team first, and then if the team approved it, then okay, we get the green light. But if the team didn't approve it while we were playing for them, then it was a no-go. So yes, then while I was playing, yes, I did come across this a time or two, where management has told me, hey, you can't do this, or you can do that, or you can't do this. So yeah, it's not unheard of. It's just a matter of what you have in your contract, pretty much.
Right. So did people contacted you individually, well, privately, when you were playing pro basketball, and then the
Yeah,
club banned you from doing these interviews? Or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
did that just happen in Zaragoza or in other clubs? Just to make sure.
No, it happened pretty much every year, right? Because there would be
Really?
people that would ask me for either through social media,
Mhm.
or they would ask me, games or something like that. And that's why we have the managers and stuff on the side to kind of keep
Mhm.
guys
Mhm.
in order, and so we don't get ordered and stuff like that.
So, how do you feel about players not being able to speak to different podcasts or different media which are not professional, but they really do have uh, interest among people? I mean, they
I
might
think
not.
as long
Yeah, yeah.
I think as long as the player keeps in mind of the words that are coming out of his mouth, and not saying anything negative in negative form about the club that he plays for or the league that he plays for,
Mhm.
I think it's fine. I think people should be open to giving more of those type of interviews on podcasts and stuff like that,
Mhm.
because you never know you never know. You might be talking to a guy who's been following you since he's been a little kid, and once he
Right.
grows up, he learn from you. So I don't see it as a harm. The way the media has grown, the media platform has grown. It's almost impossible to say no to everybody that comes about. But I mean,
Mhm.
you have to at some point. You can't give a million interviews, but I mean, I don't see a problem with it because it's all about the message that you deliver. If you're
Mhm.
out here saying negative things about every club that you played for, of course, people aren't going to want you to speak for them. But if you're
Yeah.
bringing the right attention to your club and to you as an individual, then I don't see it being a problem.
Well, I speak about this, or I spoke about this on Twitter, like 1 week ago or so, and one guy of the club reached me individually to see what was my problem or if they could solve anything. So I really appreciate that. But like 3 or 4 days after, I'm seeing that there's a guy from the team talking to a guy who's not a professional journalist. So that just makes me sad about all these communication stuff because I'm telling you, look, I talked to Kyle Williams. He's playing for Virtus Bologna. He's a really, really good player. And he told me to contact his communication department manager. Once I contacted him, he was like, all right. He told you, I mean, if he told you that you can do this interview, do it. But
Yep.
remember to tell me the time, and if there's something wrong, we will just have to edit it. So I was like, cool. I never talk about stuff that is going to uh, be prejudicial to the club. So there's nothing.
Right.
So there's nothing's gonna be wrong about this interview. We did the interview. No, Kyle, he told me like, thank you so much. I really appreciated your time. Everything was cool. I also talked to Shaquille McKissick. He's playing on the EuroLeague for Olympiacos. He also told me go talk to this lady on the communication department. She told me
Yep.
as soon as you got the confirmation from the player, you can do it anytime. But if it is on a game day, please don't do it. That was the only matter that she told me. So what's the problem of players not being able to speak up if they want to? So this was
Yeah.
my issue, and I wanted to share it with a pro player that has played in so many countries. So I just wanted to know your opinion about uh, how communication was done in so many different countries because I know it might be different
Yeah.
in Korea, it might be different in Spain or Brazil. So if you could tell us something
Yeah.
about this.
I think it more or less depends on the club that you play for. How
Okay.
much media want to let you have. Um, for me, I didn't come into any issues with talking to people besides when I was in Argentina is when I really had to watch out who I was talking to because there were a lot of people who just want to hear you say something in a negative way,
Yeah.
just was that turn it against you or the team, right? So that was the only case that I've ever come across having a bad interview or bad run in with or the person who's doing the interview.
Hmm.
So besides that, it's about all about what your team wants, how they want to handle that situation.
Okay. Well, I've seen that there's a lot of new players having their own podcast. Will you
Mm-hmm.
be? I thought about it. Jason would be a really good podcaster.
I
Will you be
could.
willing to do it?
Nah, man,
To
that's
have your
that's
own
not my.
podcast? That's not your thing?
Nah, not yet, man. Maybe when I'm old and I have nothing else to do, and I got too much stuff going on to be sitting around talking in front of a camera all day, every day.
Hmm.
With no disrespect, I mean, I love watching it when I have time. But for me to do a podcast, that means I got to sit down and take away from the other stuff that I'm doing daily. So it's not
Right.
going to happen right now.
How are the dogs doing?
Dogs are great, man. I got to go next week to get some pregnancy tests done.
Hmm?
I got free training that I'm doing tomorrow in the Houston area. So that should be fun to have a bunch of people out at the property, bunch of different dogs. It's doing good, man. I can't complain. Me and my partners are doing pretty good.
How many dogs you got right now?
Right now, I have 7 registered dogs under my name.
And you
So
have to, yeah, yeah.
what do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 males and 3 females.
And you
So
have to train them all?
yeah, well, everyone that lives with me, all the females basically live with me. But yeah, they're all trained by me. If I can't train them, then I don't want them. So, you know,
Where did you learn how to train dogs?
time. I've been around dogs. I've been around dogs for almost 20 years, 20 plus
Hmm.
years. Even when I was in college, I had a dog in my dorm room. So uh, I've always been around dogs. It's just learning their behaviors, learning my faults, and learning how to correct them. And mostly it's just by observation, trial and error. Every dog is different, just like kids. So it's kind of like a therapy to me because dogs, as we know, can't talk back. So you
Yeah.
have to figure out how to communicate with the dog. And 9 times out of 10, the communication issue starts with the person, not the dog. So it's fun, man. I love it. It's a challenge that I have every day.
Well, I have a dog here in Spain, but I've been telling my parents to let me get a dog in the US, but they're like, "No, you cannot have a dog in the US because you're gonna come
Uh,
back to Spain once you graduate." I'm like, "No, no, I'll probably stay here in the US after I graduate." And they're like, "No, no, no, you're
yeah,
gonna stay here in Spain." No, we will see, but I
yeah,
will take
yeah.
a dog for real. Yeah, I really love dogs as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So I got a few more questions here, and that should be it. Okay. So this is another one that I've realized. Well, players do really like to read tweets from Twitter of fans, like just to check out what do fans think about them. Like, how do you feel
Yeah.
about it? Do you think that people like players really like to, yeah.
I I think players should recognize um, what people are saying about them, but I don't think they should pay any serious attention to it.
Mm,
As we all know, social media is an outlet for a lot of people that just sit there behind their phones or behind their computers and have nothing
yeah,
else to do besides make negative comments about people. So
yeah.
if you get caught up in it, that can go the wrong way real quick. So I think that players should not respond to every comment that they see on social media because one
Mm,
bad interaction can start 10 more reactions just the same way. And you don't want that as a player because then people will start talking bad about you and you feel
sure.
like you have the you at a certain point. So I would just be very selective. Like I tell my nephew all the time, you don't always need to respond to people. You need to pick and choose your battles wisely, but you don't need to sit there and have a full-fledged conversation on social media with somebody about something they said about you or vice versa. It's basketball. You're not going to please everybody, right? So
Mm,
not everybody's going to agree with your basketball talents for their team, right? Especially if you lose. If you lose multiple games in Europe, everybody knows the Americans are 9 times out of 10 the first person that they look to besides the coach. So
sure.
you're going to have to take that on the chin and keep moving with your game. You're going to have to believe in yourself. So you sitting there reading all these comments, that doesn't help your beliefs. That doesn't help you have the confidence to go out the next day and go back to work and work your butt off again to correct what you did wrong in the game. So I would stay away from it. There's nothing good about it while you're playing. Yes, everybody wants to hear how good they are and all that. But at the
Mm,
same sense, nobody wants to hear how bad you did the day before. Nobody wants to hear how much of a plus minus you were in the game because you can't make a shot at the end. Right? Nobody cares about what you did the previous 3 quarters, and they're just telling you that you failed in the fourth. So
sure.
it's a give and take, man. I don't pay too much attention to it. I still get bad comments from time to time from people in Europe every now and then. So it doesn't bother me. Everybody has an opinion.
I'm telling you, you really look like a guy who is going to be an assistant coach or a head coach sometime. Will you be willing to be a coach or sometime or not?
I'll be a high coach here pretty soon, but I'm not going to be no professional coach no time soon, man. Maybe a player development coach, but
Sure.
never coach in the professional ranks. I don't want the attention. I don't want the pressure. I don't
Mm,
want the responsibility. All I want to do at this point is teach the game. And I think I'm best fit in a high school setting, because those players need more development in the basketball game mentally. Physically, everybody's got talent, but mentally, I think we're far behind as far as learning the game and seeing the game in a different.
Well, I'm gonna graduate this July from school, so I'm gonna start a graduate program, and I want to be an assistant coach. I'm just trying to see if there's gonna be any university somewhere in the US where I could be an assistant coach. I'm just checking out first, and sometime maybe you guys will see me as a basketball coach in the US. That will be great. I've talked to a guy called Devin Sweetney. He was a basketball player in Europe, and he played in Asia his last year, and now he's one of the assistant coach of the G League team of the Chicago Bulls. He really told me that he wanted to be an assistant coach, and I'm telling you, I've talked to so many players, and they have in mind to be a basketball coach, and you're one of them that really looks like you could be a really good coach.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, but I don't want to be no professional coach, man. I just think my place is high school basketball. I really do. I've actually had a guy, one of my good friends, he got a college job this year as a head coach, and he asked me to come on, but the amount of responsibilities that it would take and time that it would take for me to do that job the right way, I can't invest that time. I'm at a different stage in my life. I'm 41 years old. I got 2 kids, and my oldest daughter's playing travel volleyball. So from pretty much December till June, I'm in and out the state traveling with her. So I can't afford. I also got my dog business, so I can't afford to be away from home for months at a time anymore. This is just not going to work, right? So that time period that I had to be a college coach, that time period is gone. Gone. And I'm fine with it.
That's what I've seen on your stories. How much have you learned from volleyball on the last years?
Oh man, tremendous amounts of volleyball that I've learned, man. So next week we have to go to San Antonio for a tournament. Taking her down there a day early so she can go to a college showcase, just to get her used to the environment of seeing college coaches around. There's been college coaches around, but they haven't been able to actually look at her and take her information down for recruiting purposes. None of that. It was just a seen and be seen type of thing. So now is when it really starts getting a little serious for her. But I think she's handling it all in stride, man. She grew 6 inches from last year to this year. She's almost touching 10 foot, which is a big mark, which is the basketball goal. So she's come a long way, man. Last year, she went from one of the last people to come off the bench to finishing the year as one of the better, if not the best player on the team. So it's really, really good to see, but it's really gratifying for her to see it and acknowledge that, I got here because of what I did off the court, how I approached it every practice. So she earned everything she got right now, and she's still earning everything that she will get, which is, to me, that makes me the most proud father in the world. Because all I can do is tell her and direct her, and to her success. It's up to her to apply those things, and she has. So she's making me proud every time. So later, I got to go actually take her to volleyball practice later. So it's fun,
because
man.
it doesn't matter if she plays volleyball or any other sport, because you've been in a very high level where it doesn't matter which sport you're playing, you can give really good advices, and I'm very happy to see that you and your family are doing great.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, man. It's a blessing. She said she wants to play professionally too, overseas too, by the way.
In Europe?
She told me that's one of her goals. One of her favorite players, Jordan Thompson, played this year in Turkey. And she follows her. She really wants to follow in her footsteps and have a chance to play on that stage one day. So hopefully we can do it. But we'll see. We'll take it one day at a time. We're not going to rush it. So next year should start high school, and that'll be fun. So hopefully it just grows from there.
Did she have the chance to be in Europe when you were playing there or not?
She came. I mean, she came during the holidays, but she really didn't
Okay.
spend a lot of time there.
Hmm.
So hopefully, you know, we can. We plan on traveling back over there next year. You know, visit a couple places. Yes, we're coming to Spain, of course, but we wanted a couple different places that I didn't get to take in while I was there.
Hmm.
So
Well, yeah, if you're coming to Spain, just let me know. Let's see. What I mean, I'll be here probably in May, but I mean, just let me know anytime you come here, and maybe we can have a coffee or anything. So,
yeah.
Jason, thank you so much. I just wanted to just tell something to the Zaragoza fans to just to give any statement or say thank you for watching. Anything you could say for these people who are watching every episode we're doing.
Yeah, of course, man. To the great fans of not only just Zaragoza, but to everywhere, to everybody that's ever supported me, I want to say thank you. I want to tell everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Even with the madness that's going on in the world today, with the new variant of COVID, I wish everybody would stay safe and stay out of harm's way. I'm praying for everybody, and I'm grateful that I'm still in a position to be able to talk to not only you, but everybody else around the world. It's an honor to still be here and still be relevant in some people's thoughts and in mine. So with that, I say thank you, and to you, Javi, I appreciate it, man. Everything that you do. So your support from day one when I came in Zaragoza. You were unbelievable, man, as a little kid. And now to see you as a man, it's a great thing.
Thank you so much, Jason. I'm very sorry for everyone to hear my broken English. I've been out of the States for 2 or 3 weeks, and I haven't speaking English at all this time. So
That's
I'm very sorry about that if I said anything wrong, but I'll be back in a few weeks and I'll get used to it. Thank you so much, Jason.
yeah, no problem, man.
Oh,
Take care, man.
take care and thank you for everything. See you.
Thank you.